Hey friends, it's Kevin. Welcome to the Kevin Dairaghi Show. So appreciative for you jumping on and spending some time with us today. Today, our guest is Jeff Conrad, all the way from Arizona. Will be joining us. So this is Jeff's first time on a podcast. So it'll be fun talking to him, unpacking a little bit of his life and what he does, how we got started, the value of coaching and masterminds, but also he does note investing. So notes are a little bit different than regular real estate. So why don't we take a look and see how that goes? Let's talk now with Jeff Conrad. All right, friends, here we are. So live from the Gar office and straight from Arizona. Today we are talking with Jeff Conrad. Jeff, how you doing, man?
I'm fantastic, man. How are you?
Good, good. So before we got started, we talked a little bit about this, but how many podcasts have you been on?
You are breaking my cherry.
Yes, groundbreaking moment here. Jeff is breaking into the podcast world right here with the Kevin Dairaghi Show. So, dude, this is probably going to be first of many. You're going to become a household name here shortly.
We'll see about that.
We'll see about that. Awesome. Hey, Jeff, so I want to say thank you for jumping on. Obviously, you're a friend of Jake's here at the studio. And he's like, Kevin, you really need to reach out and talk with Jeff. It's great. It's great how relationships and all this stuff kind of spreads out. And we get to meet some cool people across the nation.
Agreed. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I'm super happy that you're here. It's rainy here in St. Louis. You probably have a gorgeous day out there in Arizona.
No, it's actually raining here this weekend.
Oh, excellent. Well, now I don't feel so bad. So cool. So Jeff, how and why did you get into real estate? Like, how did your journey here start?
That's a great question. I've always been interested in real estate. My dad was a conference junkie, for lack of a better. So he went to a lot of different ones, and he introduced me to like Carlton Sheets and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure most of us have heard the Carlton Sheets story and tried it in some way.
Many entrepreneurs, yeah. The late night show, buying the tapes, yeah.
Right. Now we're dating ourselves because we both know what tapes are. But I didn't really start getting into it until probably 2018. I went down the path of joining the military and focusing on that and then raising a family. And so I didn't really step out until my kids were well past the age of constant need, for lack of a better. They were still in the house, but they were more self-sufficient.
So middle school, high school?
Yeah. And then I've done the $40,000 Guru. I've done numerous conferences. Pretty much since 2018 has just been a path of growth, different things. And it's not all just real estate. It's self-improvement. Probably the biggest book that had any effect or the biggest effect on me was The One Thing.
Gary Keller.
Yeah. Talks about the 80-20 rule and that 20% of your activity gets you 80% of your results, and build your business around your life. So the company I was with at the time, I'd been with long enough that I was getting 4 weeks of vacation. And so probably around this time, the year prior, my wife and I sat down and we're like, all right, we're going to do 4 1-week vacations. We don't know where we're going, what we're doing, or how we're doing it. We just know we're both off at this time and our schedules are free. So we would do that. And those were some of the best vacations we've had. And now we kind of try and incorporate it around business so that we can write them off.
How important is it to have a coach or a mastermind or people kind of helping you on your journey?
It is so important. All those sayings like your network is your net worth don't make a lot of sense until you change your network and you start hanging around with people that are like-minded and everybody wants just the best for you.
It's hard to tell people that until you experience it, right? And
it is.
Something we'd say a lot is like, go with the goers, do with the doers. Like, just when you start taking action, the people will come in and kind of help you along your path. Like, you don't know it until you start moving, and then those people start coming. You bump into them at the store, at the title company, you start seeing the same people pop up. Do you guys have RIAs out there, meetup groups?
We do.
Are you active in those?
Yes. I still like to attend like the haves and wants and get to know other people that are still in the industry. And I never know how I can help somebody or who I can help or how they can help me, whatever, because it's a matter of 6 degrees of separation. And that's a big thing with real estate is just the listening and making connections.
We have so Dave O, who you also know. So we run a meetup here, and we just had it yesterday about AI. Agents and AI, and it's just one of those like there is all this technology and all this stuff that could go on, but what can it not do? What you just said there. Shake hands, kiss babies, like, oh yeah, you need to talk to like those warm introductions. Software can't do that yet.
Not yet. Hopefully it doesn't get there.
Well, I'm a hugger. There's something to a warm hug, not just a robot.
Yeah.
But it is. It's fun to see how it works. A lot of people are scared, but it's like, should you be? Or it's like, learn how to use the tool. We're used to people. We're used to certain things, and now breaking into the digital ether or the virtual world is just a little odd. But that's part of it. So as you were making your transition, right, we use the term roadmap from, I'm going to say, your W-2 life into the world of real estate, entrepreneurship, leadership, etc.
Yeah.
What were some of your metrics? How did you give yourself a safe runway for your trip out?
You alluded to it earlier. It was the action. So from 2018, I was doing a lot of reading. I listened to a lot of podcasts, listened to a lot of webinars, went to a lot of conferences. But once I started taking the action and actually doing things, then that gave me the confidence that, okay, I understood what I read. I understood what I heard or paid attention to during the conference, whatever. I can do this stuff. And then when I got to the point that, okay, I can do enough of this that I can replace my W-2. Okay, I'm solid enough. And my kids are out of the house. So it's just the wife and I and the dogs. Worst case scenario, something goes awry and it doesn't work. We're going to be okay.
All right. So a lot of people when they get into real estate, right? They're flipping houses, they're wholesaling, they're an agent, they do different aspects.
They've done the HGTV route.
Yep. Well, I mean, you have to think that's what we saw growing up, right? That's when that started breaking up or, breaking out. We wanted to see flipping these houses, like show us ugly, show us finished. I don't know if that's what did it for me, but it was one of those like, I could do that.
Yeah.
The freedom, being your own boss, all this. Is that the path you took or did you find a different way?
So we dabbled. We've done tax liens, tax deeds. We have a couple rentals. But we really enjoy the notes side of it, being the bank. It's just so much more creativity than just swinging a hammer. And I've always been told, and I'm sure most people have heard it, that you can make more with a pencil than you can with a hammer. And when you start getting into the workforce and really seeing who's making the money and who's doing the work, that really plays out.
So did you have a financial or investment background that kind of helped you with this stuff?
I did not. Can I name drop?
Yeah, man.
Some of the people that I've learned from were Eddie Speed, Tracy Z and Fred Rui. My current note guy is Bob Zachmeyer. I love him. And all of them have a lot of the same things in common. They're down to earth. They very open and very approachable and personable. And everybody's about, it has to be a win for everybody. I've done some of them where it's all about me, meaning them. And even after being a part of the group, you had to go through the gatekeeper to even get a hold of them. And if I'm not active anymore, then chances of getting called back are slim to none.
Yep. What have you done recently for me? Did your check clear before I talk to you?
Yes. Hey, you can go on this trip for this amount.
Yeah. Talk to me on the cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you have an appointment or we're in line together or yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of that. You got to be approachable to this stuff.
Yeah.
So tell me more about the note buying. Like, how did you do it? Why, I guess I go back. Do you read? Are you a reader? You said
I've become a reader. I wasn't in high school, but when I started getting into real estate and self-improvement, now I'm just like a sponge. I've got audiobooks. I've got Speechify. I've got Rakuten subscription. I've
So
got
when you're
hard
listening, are
copy.
you regular speed or are you like 1.5 or what's your?
Depends on what I'm reading. Yeah. When you read and hear it at the same time, you're able to do it easier instead of trying to read faster by yourself.
I
At least
haven't
for
done
me.
that. I know some people that they're like 2 times, 2.5 times just so they fly through it. But what you don't get there is like speaking patterns and like inflections or
Right.
like I learned like in jazz or sometimes it's not the note, but it's the
The
pause
tempo.
before the note, like the
Yeah.
timing of it. And it's like I think that in communication sometimes is also important. But anyway, I guess I'm a junkie in weird ways. So have you gotten into like history? Have you like started that path?
Yes and no. I started Zuckendorf's book. I haven't finished it.
All right. So the lessons of history by Will Durant. Like once you get hooked into a little bit of history, you're going to end up doing more. But one of the because he looks at history as a whole and then gives you the patterns that history gives you, right? The patterns of government, the patterns of finance, the patterns of war and generals, the patterns of culture, like all these different things from a large view, right? It's not talking about one person, little policies. It's talking about cycles of mankind.
Right.
It's fascinating. But the point I'm getting to, you kind of alluded to it with uh, he does this. All right, this guy's working here, this guy's working here, this guy's working here, all for the guy who understands how to use money. Right?
Right.
Everybody's fundamentally working for it. That was a long way to underline your point. But I was just like, oh, sweet. Here you go. Um, so you basically heard this concept and you're like, huh, that's interesting. A pencil, what is that? A pen is mightier than the sword, right?
Yeah.
Modified it here, pen is mightier than the hammer. But you understood that early and you got into note buying. So, and you sounds like you found some coaches and educations and then you just started, you took action. Was that scary at first or how did that kind of come to be? And how were you like, you know what, honey, this is what we're doing. We're playing with notes.
It's very scary, but being a part of small groups that are all doing the same thing, and maybe it's being a little naive, but my impression is that we're all in it for the same goal, which is freedom. And if something goes wrong, we're going to work on this together to figure it out or make it right. And Bob's group that I'm a part of right now, that's absolutely true. And it's reemphasized kind of weekly. He doesn't talk about, he does talk about past, but how it relates to the future and stuff, and tells stories about, okay, this is what happened back in WWNAM, and this is what we did to fix it, and this is kind of the character of the person that I like to be a part of the group. And so I like to feel like I have that character because I'm part of that group. And when you're part of the group and everybody and the instructor or the coach is participating with you, there's that sense of comfort of, okay, he's got this, he's looked it over, I've looked over the documentation, I didn't see anything that scared me or whatever, I understand the numbers, okay. And when you're part of, like with our group, it's not just one person buys the whole note. I may only have a quarter of the note. 3 other people will partner up and make it happen. So there's that group effort, and you're not putting out as much outlay, so it doesn't hurt as bad all at one time, for lack of a better.
So are you talking single family houses? Are you doing apartments? Like give me some idea of what some of these loan types are and what terms look like for you.
We mainly focus on the single family houses. There's a lot of so it's not just buying the notes and stuff. There's also education around taxes and marketing and stuff like that. So you kind of get the whole gambit of stuff. And that's why I like notes. There's a lot of flexibility, but then when you add in the other aspects of real estate, because I didn't realize how big real estate was until I started getting into it. Like, oh, it's just rentals. There's a plethora of different ways you can go, and each one is its own niche. And that was where I guess my first stumbling block was. I was trying to just do it all at one time, not realizing each area was its own individual thing. I was just trying to be jack of all trades, master of none.
So would a rehabber come to you and say, hey, I want to buy this house. It's worth this. I need this. I need to borrow this. And are those the deals you're doing, or is it like long-term holds or?
We're doing a little bit of everything. So one group I'm a part of is buying um, cheaper houses in the Midwest. And so, yeah, in your area, you probably know.
I know them. That's me.
All right, so I'm going to name drop. So Scott Jelinek, Slow Flips.
Yeah.
I'm part of that group also. So we're doing the upfront funding for them to go purchase the home, and then they turn around and sell it with owner financing on a longer term. Well, in Bob's group, we have some of the members that are Homevestors franchisees. So they'll go buy a home, sell it with owner financing, and then they'll sell us a partial at a slightly lower interest rate, but they get all their money back so they can go do another one. Meanwhile, I've got passive income coming in monthly. And if I need some cash, I could sell a portion of my note or all of my note. And again, that's why I like notes, is because it allows the flexibility to do what you need and do what you want, and still have access to your money.
So it sounds a little bit like a Bitcoin, but in real estate, right?
I have no clue about Bitcoin. Another area where I'm a virgin.
We'll leave that one off then. Where you could buy partials or fractions or things like that. Because most people think it's one person, one lender per house. And you're basically saying, no, there's ways we could structure a deal that's not quite like that.
Right. And by participating like this, somebody can come in with a small dollar IRA and still participate. Right now, what's a IRA? Married $8,800 or something like that a year. You're not going to break the bank and get rich that way. Right. And yeah, you're limited on what you can contribute, but you're not limited on how much you can grow it. So if you can participate in small groups like this and see the process, then you start building that confidence, and then you also start building that financial reserve so you can start participating in larger amounts.
It's actually interesting you say this, because I was doing a loan, and some of the stuff I buy is under 100,000, right? Like finished, it's worth 100 or so.
Yeah.
Not a lot of banks it's not worth it for them, right? They don't get paid a lot for doing that loan. Same amount of paperwork, you just don't get paid as much. Why would I spend so much time here than go somewhere else?
Yeah.
So actually I found some guys, so they're not like you, right? They're just friends here. And they're like, Kevin, we use CDs, right? They buy CDs 3 months, 6 months, and they make it, and they just so they have access to their money, right? It's part of the plan. And they're like, can we just buy one of your houses and you'll give us interest instead? I'm like, okay. It's one of those, but it's you got to read the room. Like, okay, like it's easier for me, and we just kind of created some notes. Hey friends, it's Kevin. I just want to thank one of our tribe members here, Lois Mans with Farmers Insurance. You know the catchy jingle. We are farmers, bump a dum bum 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 bum. Well, Lois has been covering my assets for almost 8 years now. So every time I buy a house, a flip, or a rental, Lois is there making sure everything is okay for me. She is fantastic. Her team is highly focused on customer service. I use her a lot for all the homes, but you could also try out her life insurance, her cars, her home, her auto. She's got all those ways to help you. They are now also brokers, so they could also, if they're not the best price, they could go out and find a better price for you out there as well. So Lois, thank you so much for all that you do. And on top of all that, she is in the top 1% of all farmers agents worldwide. So amazing job, Lois. You guys need to check her out. You guys can get a hold of her at 314-283-1981. Mention me in the show and she will give you a free quote. Back to our show. Why don't you define what a note is in case people don't know this? Because we don't talk a lot about notes on our show here.
Okay.
So I buy a house, right? So Kevin owns a house. Where do notes come in?
That's where the bank gives you the money to fund that house. So instead of going to the bank, you're going to somebody like myself that's a private lender.
So then I would own it. So Kevin owns it, subject to Jeff's note, promissory note or loan or whatever.
Yeah.
And it gets a first or second position on a hard asset like a house.
Yes.
So then instead of an individual, you probably create an LLC or something like that. And then
LLC or trust or LLC in a trust. Again, there's a lot of different ways to do it.
And then you would own a piece of that funding.
Yes.
So that's what you're selling is this little piece of this funding, not the whole property each time. Pretty fascinating. Has it worked for you?
It is working for us.
And has it helped you? Well, you left your W-2, and
Yeah.
was it primarily because of real estate and rentals and other deals, or was it primarily because of the note world?
Note world.
It's really that it's replacing your income that fast.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And again, it goes back to the one thing we did we got laser focused on some specific things and got those results that we needed to be able to step forward.
Do you know Joe McCall?
I've heard the name.
So he's a local guy here. We just had him on the show. He's like big for like the niche of the niche, wholesaling lease options, or like selling, flipping lands. Like
Yep.
you're in the space, but there's like an iteration after that. And it sounds like you found yours in notes, but not just notes, single family in the Midwest, or is there other stuff to it?
There's other, like with Bob's group, the guys that are home franchisers are in Mississippi, North Carolina, stuff like that. So they're buying $150,000 houses, but then they're turning around and selling them with owner financing for $250,000, $300,000, because financing is one of those things that is still a benefit that you're offering. Wow. The ones in the Midwest, the way the guys word it is, we're selling the financing, the house comes with it.
It kind of makes sense, right?
Right.
That sounds cool. Like that's something we could probably have a chat about.
Okay.
So I'm a big fan. So my company is Restore STL. It's somewhere. But it's creating home ownership. And instead of like, I love rentals. I have rentals. I think everybody should be invested in real estate.
Yes.
But I also think having ownership in your city, in your own place is think about it. Remember growing up, we had get off my yard, like get off my grass. Like those guys, like it was annoying, but it was also like, hey, there's boundaries, there's ethics, there's
pride in ownership.
And we need a little bit of those grumpy homeowners in a sense, like kind of taking pride in your neighborhood. Here we had like the scrubby Dutch. Like there was actually a book called about that, Hoosiers and Scrubby Dutch. But like it's just like little national, like that's how much they enjoyed their house and this freedom here compared to Europe. Like they would scrub their front porches and stuff, so they got known as the Scrubby Dutch. But it's just like that's kind of that pride that we kind of want to be able to create again. And we do have loans, like the community lending aspect that kind of helps this stuff. But it's not there for everybody quite yet, so we got to work on some credit stuff. Boy, we're really getting down a funding rabbit hole there.
That's all good.
Well, I think it's kind of interesting. And I don't think a lot of people play in this side of the real estate. I think a lot of people want the rentals and actually, I'll just ask since we're here. Do you get appreciation and depreciation and all the benefits of the real estate playing with the notes, or are you like?
No. So in the examples that I've given, they buy the houses at a low rate or a low amount and sell it at a higher amount. On the side, when you're selling it at a higher amount, you're kind of forcing the appreciation and creating that arbitrage of that money didn't exist, but now you owe me interest on it. So you kind of force the appreciation, for lack of a better.
Yeah, no, But so like when I own real estate, I could go and take off losses or, but you also don't get toilet backup phone calls and all these other things too.
That's the biggest key. No termites, tenants, or toilets. I don't like cleaning up somebody else's dirt to turn a house.
Yeah.
We have a couple rentals. And then that's another space that we played in for a little bit. And that's mobile homes. And so one of our horror stories, we were working in a park that was closing and we figured, we'll just come in. Those people that don't want to stay and move with the home, we'll put a new owner in and so they can move with the home because that was part of the requirement. And then new management came in and took over the park and they wouldn't allow any new tenants to come in. Well, we'd already picked up 2 or 3 mobile homes on our own and we're selling them. And there was just one that we couldn't get rid of. And so we were still getting charged lot rent, utilities, and we probably sat on it for 8 or 10 months because it wasn't a very high price, but we're like, somebody's got to be able to got to want this. And we ended up selling it to a mover just to get it off her plate. And so when they say ride your winners and cut your losers, that's another one of those that you really don't understand it until you have to walk through it. And if I'd have cut that loser sooner, it wouldn't have hurt so bad, but it was obviously a lesson that we had to learn. And so that kind of opens our eyes to another route of affordable housing. And that's another reason that we like notes, is because not a lot of people will do notes on a manufacturer or mobile home. And those are great for passive income and stuff like that, because you can get in a lot cheaper and they're just little cash cows.
Yes, they are. There's a few, like once you get, it's like, man, once you learn a few methods, some people like to go different directions. So one is mobile home parks, right? Because the cash on cash is great.
Yep.
Storage is another one. Like land banking is another. Like you start learning these different, like, now I haven't got into those, but it's one of those, like, it is kind of interesting to see where some people find their niche, but you don't know it until you start. Hey friends, it's Kevin. I just want to say thank you to great fans of Upright Construction. Greg does all my exteriors for siding, roofs, fascia, soffit, gutters, all that stuff. He is fantastic. He is on it. He works well with insurance. He works well with investors like me and homeowners. Highly personable, huge customer service. You're going to love him. Huge personality. So Greg said if you mention Kevin Dairaghi Show, that he'll knock off 10% of your labor bill. So how is that? That's fantastic. Greg is old school, so call or text Greg at 314-374-1343. And if you're going to do it upright. Back to the show. Actually, a lot of people think wholesaling is the best way to start because you kind of learn how the system works, right? It's like the shotgun approach. At some point, you just got to throw out a bunch of feelers to find out which area you actually like. But you don't know until you start going.
Yeah. And I didn't like rehabs and wholesaling and all that because essentially all I was doing was buying another job. Like with a rehab, once the work's done, okay, now I got to go find another one. And from a lender's perspective, the first thing that I do is destroy the asset.
Yeah.
So it's a never ending cycle. And if you're not the one out there hustling and doing it, plus you're also at the mercy of contractors and all that stuff, unless you're rehabbing your own. And I can't draw a straight line with a ruler. So rehabbing for me was not a really good idea.
I haven't heard that one before. I don't know a straight line with a ruler. That's good. I'll put that in the mix there. That's good. All right. So this year we did an episode about each bridge, right?
Okay.
And the concept there, and I know you listened to it, so that's awesome. But we're building bridges here. And at the time when each bridge happened, which is a bridge here in St. Louis, over a mile long, had to be tall enough for the boats, sandy loam, all these restrictions, right?
Yeah.
Building material at this time were stone, it was wood, and it was iron. Those materials could not do what this was. The key was finding out that they needed to make the iron into steel. To do that, you need the heat, you need the pressure, you need additives, you need to take out impurities, right? In entrepreneur terms, it's you got to build healthy habits, put in education, put in the right coaches and mentors, right? That's also taking out the bad habits. Like you can't do this, you can't do this, you need to do this. Yeah. And then we talk about Dream Forge Finish. So all that said, Jeff, what were some of your forging moments? Was it like in your marriage? Was it as a father? Was it leaving the job? Like where was a moment that you had to kind of forge your now self, right? What gave you enough courage to step out of your W-2? What gave you enough comfort to be able to step out and really be a leader in this space?
That's a great question. I'm not sure I can put my finger on what the forging moment was. Like I said, it was just a lot of reading, educating myself, hanging around different people. And maybe that was the forging moment, is because when my network changed, my habits changed, and my thinking changed. Because before it was hanging out with friends and getting drunk every weekend and just acting the fool with no real forethought of the future. When I started hanging around with like-minded people that were investing and had a plan and had a vision, that's where things really started clicking. And maybe that was one of the other big forging moments. you mentioned Sean McCloskey earlier, a member of one of his groups also. And one of the things he says during, it's either him or Dave Ramsey, because I coach Dave Ramsey Financial Peace. Without vision, the people will perish. And I think that scared the crap out of me. What am I going to do? How am I going to get there? What does this look like?
Did you ever know Chuck Bauman?
How that name sounds familiar.
So he was one of the coaches. He was my coach when I was with McCloskey. But his recipe for success, you basically just said in a sense, but you just makes me want to recap it here for you. But step one is have a vision, right? What is it that you want to do? Step two, find a coach. Find somebody who's been there, right?
Yeah.
Find somebody who is done the thing that you're wanting to do. Three, get a mastermind. Get people around you that are also on that journey with you. Step four, upgrade your systems, whether it's education, whether it's a computer, whether it's like, what do you need to do the job, right? If you're going up a mountain, get better boots, right? Like, what do you need to be able to do the journey? And step five is take massive action. But Jeff, like in this process, right, we have the good days, we have the bad days, the forging moments, all this stuff. When we're going through a bad day or a bad week or something like that, is there a poem? Is there a motivational quote? Is there a scripture? Is there a book? Is there a movie? Is there a song? Is there something you go and you listen to, that you read, or that you keep telling yourself that is what gets you back up? Like, is there something that you go to that's like your core mantra?
It's funny you bring that up because the scripture part. So I wasn't a believer, didn't have a very good relationship with religion and faith and the church. Had some things happen in my life that kind of just, probably like most people, turned me the other direction. But in going to all these conferences and stuff, I always felt like there was an undertone of faith or religion in some point. And so Sean McCloskey was actually the one that probably pushed me over the edge in a good way. I heard his testimony on day 3 of his 3-day event. And it really resonated with me. So I had a long conversation with him, and he kind of told me more of his testimony. Ironically, his brother used to live in Arizona. And so I was kind of asking, all right, what does a good church look like and stuff like that? And he asked where I was. And so he reached out to his brother, Mike, and Mike told him CCV. And I'm like, oh, one of the guys I work with goes to CCV. So out of the blue, I asked my buddy at work if I could go to church with him. And he's like, yeah, everything okay? I'm like, told him the story, and he's like, cool. So I started going to church the weekend after Easter last year, and I got baptized July 28th,
Congratulations.
Thank you, which is my grandson's birthday. So, and it was weird because it was just like, I got to do this right now. All right, this needs to be done. And every time I went to church, I felt like I was the only one there, and they were talking directly to me.
Isn't that a neat feeling?
It is. And so once that happened, other things started falling in place, started stressing less. People at work were like, there's something different about you. And I was like, and I didn't hear it directly. They would be talking to my friend David, who's the one that took me to church and was in the water when I got baptized. And he's like, oh yeah, this is what happened. They're like, oh yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. So one of the things, I guess it was a long roundabout story to get to the answer, was one of the things that I kind of lean on is probably the only verse that I have memorized, which is the Lord's Prayer in Matthew 6. Other than that, I'm great at telling other people probably what I need to hear. Things like the answer's always no if you don't ask.
Yeah.
Because I have people ask me a question and I'm like, the answer's always no if you don't ask. And they're like, yeah, you're right. And they go off and do what they need to do. It's funny how that works.
So when I left my corporate America job, right? I was out there, I was going to figure it out. And in real estate, especially before Facebook and all this stuff was out, is kind of when I started. Before all that was, you can't just make a post and everybody knows you're in it.
Correct.
But that's where I was like, God, like, I'm going to need some divine appointments. Like, show me that you need me out here. Show me somebody I'm supposed to be with. And then these crazy things would happen around you. And you're like, okay, I'm going to keep walking. I don't know what this looks like, but, you're giving me the the breadcrumbs to keep the faith, right?
Yeah.
And even now, we talk to lenders, we talk to all this stuff, and then you find yourself praying over situations that you're like, this is weird. Like, if you would have thought this is how today was going to go, like, that's not how it goes.
Yeah, that wasn't on the agenda.
But it's, as an investor, right? I figure that if you're a good investor, right? Because you need to have a motivated seller. And a motivated seller means they're probably in one of their worst moments of their life. Somebody died, somebody's sick, somebody moved, somebody just lost their job or their lifestyle, or something catastrophic has happened, and you're there, right? We have sharks in the industry, and we also have good people in the industry. The tools are the same, but I think it's the intent behind it. I like being able to go in and helping these people transition to their next phase. And it's one of those, like, again, the tools are the same or very similar, but it's the attitude or intent behind it.
Yes. And that's one of the things I learned from one of my other mentors, Bill Cook, which is we're not in the business of real estate. We're in the business of solving problems. We just use real estate to do it. So they may have a house problem, they may have a money problem, whatever the situation is. We just use real estate to solve the problem. And again, it goes back to listening. What's the pain point and what's going on here? What do you need?
And that's, what do you need, not what am I selling you?
It's not about me. It's all about them. And like I said, that's why I like Bob and all them, because it's got to be a win for everybody.
Mm-hmm. And
it's okay to leave money on the table so that somebody else can win too. There's an abundance attitude as opposed to a scarcity attitude. And when you have an abundance attitude, there is enough to go around so that everybody can play.
I agree. There's a lot of people who preach abundance, but they live scarcity. It's one of those, like, no, man, like, there's something magic when, you know what, I'm going to bless you with, here's an extra equity. Here's it's so rewarding. It's like, that's why I like creating homeowners. Like, we just sold one, and they're like, nobody in my family has ever owned a home. Parents, grandparents, like, I'm the first of it's like, yes, like, fundamentally, like, they just became a raving fan. Like, do I need to go in and, no, man, let them just tell everybody,
So let me ask you a question. When you sell one of your rentals, do you sell it outright or do you carry it?
Well, with the transition that we're doing right now, we are now open at doing both. So there's another large organization that does a bunch of lease options to create home ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Now, I don't want to get in the financing side. I don't want to have to hold all that paper. I actually want people to be able to go and say, look, I'm now a homeowner, right? Actually a homeowner.
Yes.
That's what I want to create. I want to partner with people, and it sounds like you, Jeff, good, honest people that you're a master of your craft. Great. Let me give you products and I move on. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of the world that I kind of love. Like, there's a handful of houses I'm looking at buying in a target neighborhood I like. Great. I could buy it, not a lot of loans, not a lot of banks when I go in under 100. Cool. I'm in it low. There's equity there. Great. Give me a little bit. Let them move on. Let me move on. I think that makes sense for a lot of people.
It does.
Let me become a master of mine. And really, what I'm finding out, Jeff, is what I'm really good at is friendships and recognizing who does what really well, and then just connecting the dots. So you're saying solving problems. Like, my tagline used to be professional problem solver when I got into real estate. But really, it's becoming a master connector. Like, who do you know? Who needs to know me right now? And I remember I had some people, actually Jake was one of them, and another guy, we went and worked on a house, and I was pissy, and I'm not a pissy guy. And they're like, man, we thought you'd be a little bit more fun to work with. It kind of called me out, but I'm like, guys, I'm not being where I need to be, right? I need to be doing other stuff, not swinging a hammer. And it took a little second to understand why I was pissy, but I was working out of joint. That's not where I was needed. And then now I'm back to being happy. So it's like, okay, like, let me do what I need to do, because then it helps more people, and let the people who need to run their certain aspects do it.
Yeah.
But it actually took my coaches, my masterminds, to be able to be like, you're not right. Like, make your adjustments because you think you're doing it right, but you're not really helping.
Yeah. And that's a big part of going back to what you said about masterminds and network, and having that comfort to be able to say, stop being a pansy. You're not where you need to be. You got your panties in a bunch right now. What's going on? And have that honest conversation.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think sometimes actually being vulnerable to the right people really lets people be able to help fix what's going on.
Absolutely.
Think of extension cords, right? It gets tangled or looped or whatever, and you think you're fixing it, but you haven't sorted it all out yet. You got to sometimes just let it unwind. And like these mastermind talking about it, like I have some good friends who coach me, and it's easy for them. They're like, you don't see it, do you? And it's like, what? I solve all these other people's problems, right? But they're like, dude,
you can't see the forest for the trees.
Like it's right there, man. We all see it on your face, but obviously you don't. So you love and hate it. In your journey here, I'm kind of curious because you are married with kids, etc. How active is your wife in the real estate business? Is she working with you, or is it better if you work separate?
We work together. I do most of it, but we bounce ideas off of each other and kind of drive that way.
Has there ever been conflict with that?
I'm sure there has. I can't put my finger on one. Actually, she was probably the one saying to dump that mobile home a lot sooner, and I was like, no, we can do this. We can fix this. So yeah, probably that one.
Yeah, careful the wisdom of the wives. They actually, we don't want to give them too much credit, but there's actually a handful of times I know it was God talking through my wife. When she's just like says this little whip, and you're like, okay, yeah. You don't say it right away, but it's like you're right.
Yes.
No, that's fun. If you could go back and give yourself some advice, right? So I don't know if it's young Jeff or Jeff transitioning into the real estate world, or even Jeff in the real estate world now. What kind of advice would a younger version of you or somebody who's listening now, what do you think they need to hear?
After attending all these conferences and listening to all these coaches and stuff, and I'm probably saying the same thing. I'm just saying it in a different way. I summarized it, and that your life is the result of your decisions and actions or lack thereof. I decided to be a millionaire. Have I taken the actions? No. Okay, well, then you're going to get those results. So make a decision, take the action.
Well, I like you said it at the very beginning, and I think this is something I want to underline, but the action gave you the confidence. Even going back to Chuck's recipe for success. Action, not information for information's sake. Action. Like you did all this stuff for the action. Just one of those like really good to underline that aspect.
Yeah. And a good analogy would be riding a bike. You start with the training wheels on, and eventually you got to take them off, and you're going to fall. You're going to get hurt. You're going to scrape yourself. But that's how we learn, is we do things and then, okay, that didn't work, so I don't do that. And I don't remember who said it, but you're not going to wait until all the lights are green to start traveling. You got to start moving. Conversely, you got to know where you're going to know how to get there.
Yes. And I'm a huge fan of working on the personal first, because dude, iron doesn't get you across the river. Steel does. Make sure you're strong enough. Like when you have a contract or a inspection report go a little skewed, make sure that doesn't change you. Right. You don't want to start doing something unethical. Nope, that has to be straight. But we can, it's how we handle the news or process the news that is important. Yeah. Are you an agent, Jeff, or are you pure investor?
Just investor. My wife and I used to have our mobile home sales agent license, but again, it was too much work. It was too much like a job, and I have a lot of respect for real estate agents. Having kind of done that and having people call and just want to see every house and nitpick every little detail. Yeah, that's not for me.
And exit side left.
Yes.
So Jeff, if somebody wants to get more Jeff Conrad, where should they go?
info@sonoranmarketingllc.com.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for jumping on, and we'll talk with you shortly. What a wonderful man. Yeah. So some of the key books that he's read, The One Thing by Gary Keller. When the student is ready, the teacher appears, right? And it's interesting. Like for me, it was McCloskey from a seminar, right? And I bought his program and I just dove into it. So and it spoke to me, even though it was like a audio, it was a reading thing, like it wasn't him directly. And here, Gary Keller wrote the book, The One Thing, so influential to me, to Jeff, to Dave, to several other guys too. And it's neat how that influence, right, that leadership, fingerprints of leadership is marked out there. I loved what he said when he talked about that pencil is stronger than the hammer. Reminds me a lot of that pen is mightier than the sword concept. Got into note buying. Actually, we did a lot of talk about the note buying, but no termites, no tenants, no toilets. I thought that was a fantastic way that he said that. Huge thing with networking. And the remember we talked about the recipe for success. And in the very beginning, you said action gave me my confidence. So out of that recipes for success, that massive action is what gave him the confidence to totally leave his W-2 and kind of change his lifestyle. So totally like that. Like the idea of taking action, right? That's a huge thing. And key points for him was the Lord's Prayer. Like when he needs a little help, dude, Lord's Prayer, that's there. But I also like what he said about life. Life is equal to your decisions and your actions, or your lack of actions and decisions. So I thought it was really kind of cool to show it to both ways there. So Jeff, welcome to the world of podcasting. Thank you for joining us here all the way from Arizona. Appreciate all that you do. And love the concept that abundance is bigger than scarcity, right? Live abundantly. All right. Love you guys. Talk soon. Hey, friends, this is Kevin. For more information for our vendors, just go to our Linktree or any of these little clicks here. You could get it. I'm going to finish you off with some positive affirmations so you can get ready for your day. I am a leader. I make a difference. I add value. My words have power. I know God and He loves me. I am a leader. I raise people up, not tear them down. Today is my best day. I change lives. I live abundantly. I am a money magnet. I am alive, and I am a force for good. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day, and remember, dream big, act accordingly.